Let's wake up determination. Welcome to another epic workout, this time for the 9th hexagram with the Gene Keys themes of inertia, determination, and invincibility. We'll be using UZAZU to generate an embodied way of using the hexagrams. The 9th hexagram starts off yang, yang, yang. So we're going to move forward, up, and wide. This creates mesh. And in mesh, we're really interested in just being fully in the world. Ideally, this is a state of joy. It's full participation, it's collaboration. You're in the world, active, able to go and do whatever it takes. This is dancing in unison with the cosmos. The second trigram, the top 3 lines of the 9th hexagram, is yin, yang, yang. So we start by moving back, up, and wide. And this is gateway. In gateway, what we're most interested in is self-acceptance. There's a bit more about self in that first move. We're an active agent, and we're taking a perspective. So it's about self-acceptance. So what do you get with a state of being fully in the world that moves into a state of self-acceptance? Play that out a few times. What is it like for you to be in the world and then reflect on yourself? Of course, that's where we can experience disappointment, where we can make judgments about ourselves based on how things turned out there. Ideally, though, being in the world, engaged, active, and then coming into a sense of self-acceptance, self-allowance, offers, what is it? Think about what does that offer in terms of your understanding of determination. How many times can you do something and then still care about yourself, love yourself, have a great sense of self-esteem? And if you want to then get back in the world, go out there again, get back on the field, so to speak, what kind of self-esteem do you need to maintain? So there's something really interesting about determination, being determined to pursue your goals, to achieve your dreams, to fund your future. That's gonna teach us something here as we play into these 2 movements. So we'll come back to do a deeper dive once we play with the mobility and the movement side of things. Now, let's pick apart these movements. We've got a lot going on with shoulders. We want core stability as we lean forward and engage with the world, and then core stability as we come back up. So there's something very important about core stability and play, this width with our shoulders. And that's why I've got a strap and a bolster here, or roller, to give you a few really interesting shoulder mobility exercises. Then we're going to move into a handstand prep exercise that's both strengthening and will increase your range of motion, whether or not you actually want to develop a handstand practice. Vulnerably speaking, I have not ever been determined to master handstands from the ground, although I've had some great balance. And so you'll see me struggling a little bit, but it's going to be very exciting to take on determination with this particular handstand practice for the next 6 days. By the way, I recommend anytime you do an epic workout around a hexagram, you give it about 6 days, because the themes that show up in terms of synchronicity for you and your own understanding of these themes really blossoms as you do this practice again and again and again. Our first mobility drill then is going to start with wrist. Take your hands out in front of you and make some really easy wrist circles. Now don't push it too hard. Keep it really, really simple. What we'll start to see with these wrist circles, and there's another variation I'll show you in just a moment, is going to give you the ability to see where you've had inertia, change directions. In other words, where have you been doing the same thing that you were doing a year ago or 10 years ago that maybe you haven't fully understood or accepted yet? Oftentimes, when we've got something that just does not change directions again, there's something of a gift in it, a power in it that we haven't been able to recognize our own power there. And that's a great piece that can often turn inertia into determination, give you more agency with it. Next mobility drill. What you were just doing was moving your fist, right? Now we're going to move the wrist Keep the knuckles more or less where they are. Move the wrist up, wrist to the side, wrist down, wrist in. So if you go slow enough, the wrist is moving. The knuckles, not so much. To show you the other variation, here's the first one. Forearm stays where it is, the fist is moving, but now we're going to keep the knuckles in place and move the wrist. Now make this small enough that you can breathe. You might need to do this one arm at a time. And I'll give you one more great way to learn this is to use some external reference point, a wall, a couch, and then roll the wrist in a circle around your knuckles. Now, this also has a wonderful lesson because to change where we've had a lot of inertia, we often need something to reflect on, something to push back on, some mirror, some coach, some outside source. And this is a great example of that. To learn something new, to create a new pattern, you need generally something outside you to work with, a sparring partner, an accountability buddy. Okay, so that's now, you've got the wrist circles, we've got the fists, the wrists, final move, elbow. Imagine you're holding onto a bar and then you straighten the elbows, take the elbows out, drop them in. A little bit to the inside, but it's not going to get that much movement out of it. So elbow circles. Now, yeah, you have to kind of push and pull. Okay, are you getting this? Any new pattern, how many new patterns, how much are you trying to change in your life that requires a new skill, a new pattern, a new habit, a new set of habits, change directions, elbow circles in the other way? So anything that you've been having inertia around that you really like to change, whether it is change through acceptance or change through allowing something new, these fist, wrist, and elbow circles can start to give you the patience to go through that process, hence determination. Okay, now let that go. First of all, you might be feeling a little bit better. Next, we go over the feet and then come back up to the shoulders. Before we do the feet, I want you to test something so you can see the difference. Step out in front of you, kind of lean into the ground a bit, and then step back. Step back, or out in front, and then back. Out in front, and then back. And just get a sense for the versatility, the way that your feet land on the ground and how you feel. Now make the full movement, the foot pattern of our 9th hexagram, which remember is stepping forward, wide and out, and then back and wide. So we're just going to do the feet pattern. Step forward, out and wide with a little bit of movement, and then back and wide. Forward, and then back and wide. One more time. Get a sense for how it feels to use your feet on the ground in this way. Now here's our change. Take your feet, make them as wide as they were, and then gently go from edge to edge. You're going to go both to the left, both to the right. Now, as you do this, soften it, make it easy. Even if you're just moving a little bit is enough. You can be making a much larger movement if you have the range of motion. You're getting rotation in your hips. You're getting some rotation in your ankles. So all this is very, very good, but you're also playing a little bit with timing in your nervous system to catch you, which is really helpful. And you should see the difference when we retest the footwork in a moment. Bring your feet a bit closer together, right about underneath your shoulders, and do the same movement. Relax your belly. Find an easy way to do this. Kind of blend the experience of, yeah, I'm fully doing it while observing self. Fully doing it while observing self. And that's to bring the mesh into this gateway, fully being in it while observing self. One more, bring your feet closer together, as close as they can be with a little bit of space between them, and again, side to side. Breathe, relax, so that your nervous system can learn as much as possible by staying relaxed. Okay, it's good enough for now. Let's try that foot pattern again. Forward and wide, back and wide. Forward and wide, back and wide. Does this feel different? Now we did a lot of mobility and waking up, not just of your feet, but of your hips through those weird rotations. That ought to give you a lot more groundedness and strong reactiveness throughout your whole body. Our last movement or mobility is going to be in the shoulders, and we have one strengthening move. It's really a strength and mobility, but it's a good one. So you can do this with a strap, and then we'll do a harder object. So the strap gives you an opportunity to pull. You can also use a towel, a belt, a pair of pants, a sweater. What you want to do is grab it wide enough that you can very easily go over your head. Once you've got it going up and over your head a few times, then you're going to start to explore every range you can. So start by taking one arm around, and then the other, and then one, and then the other. Once you've got that, try the other direction. Now this is very, very easy. Just shorten the strap. If it's challenging, lengthen the strap. This should be basically really easy for you to feel successful. And one more thing to make it more difficult, you can create some tension in the strap. But for our purposes today, that's not the point. Finally, play with your footwork as you work with the shoulders. Any footwork can do right now. The purpose is to create a sense of instability in a way, sort of the breakdown, breakthrough that can come, or sometimes is needed when we're stuck in a pattern for a long time. Often what we need to do is be able to find what's right in that pattern to break the negative consequences and results. Sometimes it's a decision, sometimes it's an awareness. Okay, good enough. Round two, that's tension. Round two is compression. So you need something that's solid, not a strap this time. This is a roller. You could use a rod, a broomstick, something that though as you gently hold it, you can press it in. When you're pulling out, we're engaging the outer part of the shoulders and deltoids. When you're pushing in, you're engaging pecs and lats and a number of other stabilizing muscles. So similar movement. This is too narrow for me to get all the way over my head, but we can cheat and let the elbows bend. If you've got a broomstick, maybe it's not too narrow for you to take over your head. So find a successful pattern here. This is a great opportunity to let go of any part of thinking that there's a right way to do this. Like elbows need to stay straight. Because we're focused on shoulder and we're focused on mobility. And then start to add some footwork. Go slow enough that you can maintain awareness. So you are fully engaged in the world and you're bringing that full engagement into awareness, self-awareness, self-acceptance. To make it simple, you go slow enough that you don't lose presence with your own body. Okay, we are done with that round. Our last move, or our main movement, is going to be a handstand prep kind of an exercise. Now, if you don't want to master handstand, that's fine. But in the next 6 days, I think you would see a dramatic increase in strength and flexibility if you do this in this particular way. Now, the 9th hexagram is known as the taming of the small. It has to do with taking small steps. 1,000, what's that saying? Every journey, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with a single one, something like that. Add in the comments, you'll probably correct me on that. So in a similar way, what we're going to do is take the feet comfortably wide and find a way to get your hands on the ground. You'll do that either by bending your knees and hips enough or by putting some books or blocks on the ground. It looks like this. Get down there. Now, if this is as far as you can go, hang your head. It's good enough. It's good enough to build strength. It's good enough to build flexibility. If you can straighten your legs more, fine. We want some pressure in the arms and hands. So hang your head, lean into your arms, and gently stretch the legs straight. We're going to be spending about a minute at a time doing this. Never push too hard. Make sure you can continue to breathe. But the game is going to be to keep putting weight into the arms and keep lengthening through the legs, hamstrings, and getting your glutes and hips up. So let's go for 1 whole minute. Now remember, we want to take this easy. We want to break patterns, not break bones and legs and hamstrings. So here's the timer for 1 minute. Let's begin. It's really easy to focus on your hamstring. So instead, relax them and get a bit more pressure in the arms so you feel the engagement in your abdominals. Time. Come on up slowly. Ground and find your breath. We'll do one more round in just a moment. Did you see some progress? Now, the harder you push, the less progress you'll feel. The slower you go, the more non-efforting you make this, the more hamstrings open up, the more abdominals turn on and engage, the more you figure out how to coordinate your shoulders. So we're going to keep going about a minute at a time, make small progress. But if you do this a few days in a row, I am quite sure you'll see a lot of progress, partly because your nervous system is saying, hey, this is safer to do. And part of it is because you're developing a certain kind of ease with determination. Let's do one more round. A few ways you can make this more challenging. If you're getting there and you want more, you put more weight in the arms. You can start to take one leg to the ceiling if you want, or at least start to play with lifting your heels off the ground. 1 minute. Ready, go. That's time. Rest it up. Come on up. Catch your breath. Find your breath. Ease your breath. So imagine doing 3 rounds of that a day for the next 6 days, knowing that you've got a trajectory to progress if you want to, all the way up to a wall for a handstand. And the more important piece is that you transform your own relationship to the determination that you have. So let's finish with a deep dive, albeit brief, back with the pure embodiment of the 9. We start noticing where neutral is, so where your starting point is. Step forward, out, and wide. Look up, engage up, be fully present. Then step back, stay wide, so beyond where you were with neutral. Helps represent that we're stepping a bit away from the world and in towards self. Step forward and kind of shift your attention to, hey, what's all out here? Then step back, gateway, shift your attention, hey, what's over here? And let's find a way to bring them together. Joy in the world, full engagement, self-acceptance, self-allowance, collaboration, self-esteem. One thing just to notice is by turning the hands out, you can really help direct your attention. You put your attention out there, put your attention over here. It's kind of like shining a light. It's kind of nice. We're going to touch on determination, move into the shadow of inertia, and then land and flow back into the city of invincibility. Here we go. So what gifts of determination do you have? How much determination can you recognize today? What from your past can you recognize as evidence of your determination? Last one, breathe in the gifts of it. And now inertia, those places we haven't been able to create change. We've almost stayed stuck with pattern. So what ways of being in the world have you not been able to accept and to change? Where have you been disappointed, and what expectations haven't been met? And how did you make that about you? When you look back the last 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, what hasn't changed and how do you feel about it? Having touched in on those shadow patterns, let go of the thinking about it and just turn your attention back to right now, to this movement pattern. Explore finding your own authentic and spontaneous flow between these two poles. It's a great embodied way of creating change. I like to think of it as if you are ironing out some wrinkles in your own body, mind, fabric. Last few moments as you find and feel this pattern and flow, take it any direction that you want. You know, anything that you are aware of in the space. It's about being in the space and bringing those experiences into your own growth. Last one. Come to neutral, bend and soften your knees, hips, arms, elbows, and wrists. Relax your eyes. Close your eyes. Hug yourself. Take a few breaths here. Appreciate whatever change you've become aware of and whatever determination you've become aware of. From the hug, scratch the outside of your body. Rub the outside skin to create one last wake you up. This has been a Wake Up Epic for your determination. I'll post a few videos here for you to play with more, and you can experience other Wake Up Epic videos and practices. Thanks so much for participating. Let me know what you want to know more about so we can bring that into these experiences. And until next time, thank you so much for being epic.